Hi, I'm Seth, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a simple animation for Counter-Strike 2. This should work in Half-Life Alyx, I think, and any other future Source 2 game, probably. I don't know, I can't tell the future. But it's very easy, very simple. So I'm only showing you how to make a simple animation. I'm not going to show you like layer blending or any sort of action stuff. That's usually for Anim Graph, and CST does not actually have Anim Graph accessible to people. So this is just a simple spinning animation. This could be, like a moving animation, like maybe you want factory parts moving or something like that. This is just simple, basic, how to get it in, how to use it. So we're going to add an armature, and we are going to just scale this down a little bit real quick. For terminology, this is the tail and this is the head of the bone. Alright, so we added a bone, we added an armature, we have a bone, and we are going to, this is our root bone. This is what's going to control our whole object. So if I had this whole bone over here, that would be our origin. It would rotate those objects from this point here. So we're just going to put that in the center. That's fine. I'm now going to extrude the head of our root bone forward. This is going to be the bone that spins. All right. And now we are going to go ahead and name our bones. We can press F2 here to name it. We can go up here to name it when selecting the bone tab. We can look up here to name it. We can go over here to name it. Actually, we can just, I'm using my own layout in Blender. So usually the outliner's over here and whatnot. But yeah, in the outliner, you can name them in here. You can name them by selecting the bone, or you can press F2 to name it. I like using F2. So, we're going to name this fan root. And this bone, fan spin. Alright. We got our bones, and we are going to now parent our objects to these bones. So go ahead and select all your objects, all your meshes you want to bind to the armature, and then make the armature your active object. For the 3D view, it's whatever's the last selected object is your active object. In the outliner, it's whatever's the first selected object when shifting like that. When selected and holding shift to select more. If you drag, again, it's whatever was your active object before. You can hold control to select which one's your active object. So just make your armature your active object. So now that we have everything selected, you can press Control P, and we're just going to do empty groups. Now, when we select one of our objects, we'll see that it created two vertex groups. These are our bone names. So we are just going to assign weights to our models. So there's the three things. I don't want this part to spin, but I want these and these to spin. So on this object, I'm going to make fan root assign that is bound to this part. Blades, I want to be bound to fan spin and this fan spin. So now we go into pose mode. We can see that we have these correctly done. One thing, however, is when we move the root, it doesn't move this bone. So we're going to go into edit mode, go into the bone tab, and we are going to make our parent for our spin bone the root bone. So now we go into pose mode, it'll rotate the whole thing. Now we got our own little tiny simple rig. Alright. Now that we have this all set up, it's weighted, it's named correctly. We could probably name the armature, though I don't think it matters, but just in case, fan. Maybe be armature.fan. However you like to name your stuff. It does not matter. We're exporting the fan collection anyway. So select your fan collection. Make sure it's in a collection. You want it to be in a collection. Put it in a collection called fan. So it is now our active collection. File, export, FBX. Check active collection. Gonna create a new folder. It's gonna be called animation tutorial. It's gonna be fan tutorial. Okay. And then you can change the scale here or in model doc. It does not matter, but I'm doing it here. Export FBX, and then we're gonna go to model doc. Go ahead and animate a model. That's fine. This is fine. Go here, click add meshes. Go to wherever you saved it. You want it to be in your add-on, or else it's not going to be able to see the models or any assets. Just select the FBX for add meshes. You can do the same for simple animations. That'll add our whatever actions exist. And you know what? I forgot to animate it. Oh well, we'll do that a little bit. So we can click compile fan model. There we go. There it is in model doc. And let's actually go back and animate our model. So go to pose mode, obviously, and we're going to change the rotation type from Quaternion to XYZ Euler. This is so, like, when we rotate it on the y-axis, it doesn't give us weird numbers. We don't want that. We want to see angles, because, you know, we just want to see angles. I don't know why that's the default. So, go ahead and open your timeline. I'm actually going to duplicate this window and set one to the dope sheet action editor. And I'm going to create a new action. This is going to be called... What is this going to be called? This is going to be called fan spin. Alright. And we'll set our frame rate, not our frame rate, but our range from 0 to, let's just do 128. It could be even 64. You know what, let's do 64. Why not? So we're going to press I to add a keyframe and press rotation because we're going to be rotating it. If we're going to be moving it or scaling it, we can do either or. I don't know if Model Doc supports scaled animations. I'm not going to try it here, but you'll find out if you try. So I keyframed it on its basic 0, 0, 0 pose. We're going to go to our last frame and we're going to rotate it. Go negative 360. So we can either press I, rotation, or we can right click the inputs here to insert keyframe. Now we see that it is animated. However, it is not at all what we want. We want it to be continuous. We don't want it to ever stop, slow down, whatever. This is something that we just want to spin forever and ever and ever. So go ahead and select our bone that we put the keyframes on, and go ahead and select every keyframe, press T, and do linear. Alternatively, we can select our bones again, press A, or drag, go up to, this is why we're using the dope sheet. So in the action editor dope sheet, we can go to key, handle type, nope, interpolation mode. We want to set it to linear. Now, our object is rotating, but there's a thing, we can see a little stop. Again, we do not want that. So, how do we fix that? Well, we can do it here, or we can do it in Model Doc. but I'm just gonna do it here to show it off because it's still useful to know here. Select our bone, so we see our keyframes, and we just want to move this keyframe forward one frame. The reason we do this is because we have 2 frames where it'll be technically on 0, 0. 360 degrees, it's a full circle. Let's just say that's 0. So we have this frame and this frame. They're the exact same. We don't want that. So that's why we're going to move our one frame over. That way, we don't see that little jolt. In our animation. Cool. So now we can go ahead and re-export it. Cool. So fan tutorial, that's fine. Just overwrite our thing. Go to model doc, recompile. So, it snatched up the only action there, which is cool. That's what we want. If we go ahead and press play, or we select here our tutorial and then play, see it animates. However, in our anim file node, it's set our range to 65. You see here, 65. We want it to be at 64. We don't want it to go the full keyframe range. Because technically, in our animation, we have 65 frames. But we only want 64. So we can change here, set this to 64. Go ahead and compile. And now we see that the full length is 64. I'm going to add a default material group. I don't know why these have names at all. That's fine though. Just going to make it a dev texture. Obviously, if you're doing a real prop, you'll have real textures. There we go. There is our continuous fan animation. We can see this part is not spinning at all. But there we go. Now to put it in hammer, we will go to hammer. We would find our fan. Build fan. There it is. Drag it in. And change it to prop dynamic. Now when we click this button up here to toggle model animation, you can see it spins. That is how you get a simple spinning animation into model doc. If you want it to be faster, you can change the FPS. If you want it to be the slower, change the FPS. Right now it is at 30 FPS. We do 15. It'll go slower, of course. We change it to 60. Again, it'll go faster. Perfect. All right. Can we go to hammer? It's going to go faster. I don't think there's anything you really need to do on the entity itself. I need to change some settings if it doesn't work. You might want to set default animation actually. There you go. That's probably what you want if it doesn't work. But yeah, that's how you make a spinning animation.